through the eye of a needle. Matthew chapter 19, verse 24. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Whenever Matt mentioned living in Ohio, people always assumed he grew up in the middle of a cornfield. He couldn't believe people still thought Ohio was just an entire state of corn. As a matter of fact, Matt did grow up on a corn farm right off Copley Road in West Akron, but that was beside the point. He couldn't let his $1 million clients think he was just some corn shuck and jive turkey, so he'd erase all evidence of his rural Akron accent and correct them with a lie. Actually, I grew up in a mid-century condo, less than 5 minutes from the high school that LeBron James attended. Usually, that was enough to launch the conversation into a heated sports debate, and his origin story remained concealed. Matt chuckled to himself as he reflected on how well that strategy always worked for him. The clients were so predictable, like putty in his hands. If only Uncle Bobby were that malleable sometimes. Matt's Uncle Bobby raised him since he was 5 and was the sharpest man he ever met. Nothing got by him. He taught Matt so many life lessons through hard work on the farm, but it was a life that Matt was anxious to get far away from. Long, strenuous hours to barely earn middle-class income. No thank you. His Uncle Bobby was proud of him, but he really wished he would take over the land. He was on his way to his house now after an odd phone call of his uncle insisting that he made a great discovery and Matt just had to see it himself. When he arrived, Uncle Bobby motioned him to the backyard immediately. Matt gets to the backyard and sees a mysterious cylindrical cage, unsure of what he was looking at. It wasn't until he was inches away that he realized he was staring at rows of chicken butts, with all the chickens facing the inside of the structure. He wondered if maybe his old guy had finally lost his marbles. Then Uncle Bobby explained. He had initially created this device as an easy way to collect eggs, and therefore trained the chickens to sleep here instead of their coop. In order to do that, he set up games within the inside of the cylinder that held their attention and rewarded them with food if they won and stayed in their slots. But chickens pride themselves on having a sense of community, so he had to integrate the games to create a hierarchy and competition amongst each other. From then on, they were hooked. Bobby only needed them to stay in this position long enough to lay eggs. However, the chickens stopped leaving the device entirely. They were addicted to the lifestyle of beating the games for more food. Then it got weird. The smartest chickens got so fat that they were stuck in their units. The more games they won, the more they were pinholing themselves into a prison. From their own perspective, however, they were winning in life. As they filled the perimeter of their cubby, they could see less and less of the real world that a chicken ought to live. The games and community on the inside of the cage became everything to them. It got so bad that he had to start cutting out the smartest chickens to prevent them from suffocating. Bobby showed off a chicken he had to save who had grown 3 times his size in 2 weeks. The only chickens who had any quality of life were the chickens who could never win too often and would still get out for fresh air and sunshine. Matt blinked at his uncle, uncertain of what to say. "Don't you see that? We are the chickens. The more riches you win in the race, the harder it is for you to stay the path of an honest man. And even worse, that lifestyle prevents you from seeing that you are building your own prison. You start lying about who you are and what you are, just to beat another game." Matt shuddered as he viewed his fabricated origin story and tailored accent a little differently now.